The Atlanta Hawks started off the three games on the NBA schedule tonight. Ultimately, the Hawks and the Bucks and Heat game were not that close, but the Clippers and Warriors were a game right down to the wire, as we all would have hoped for. The Atlanta Hawks just looked like the far superior team tonight than the Dallas Mavericks. Their defense was extremely good. Their offense was extremely good. They shut down Luka Doncic very well, although you can also question just the general offense and the coaching of that offense with Jason Kidd as a whole. But that we'll get into more at another time and as the season progresses. But ultimately, full kudos to Atlanta here. Trae Young had a very good game, specifically in the second half, finishing off with 14 assists. Cam Reddish had one of what, to me at least, looked like one of his better NBA performances. Looked very confident, very aggressive. Shot 7 of 15 off of the bench, putting up 20 points. John Collins, Clint Capella did a very good job of protecting the rim, and Capella did a very good job rebounding alongside John Collins and finishing at the rim. It's an all in all very good game for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't really have much to say other than the fact that Nate McMillan's defensive scheme on Luka Doncic was great. Cam Reddish looked very good. Trae Young continued to do his thing. Scoring wasn't the best tonight, but his playmaking for this group continued to be great. And all in all, just a great coaching performance, great player performance. And the Atlanta Hawks are not a fluke of last year's playoffs. They were a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference this upcoming season. For the Dallas Mavericks, man, I want Luka to have a good team around him. I want Luka to have a good coach. It just didn't look good tonight at all. They really didn't. Luka Doncic, 6 of 17. He was defended well against. Nate McMillan's defense against him was very good. The offensive system around him was not great. The offensive production around him was not good. He didn't play well tonight. Kristaps Porzingis did not look great tonight either. He had a few moments where, sure, at least he wasn't just sitting on the perimeter and shooting threes, but he forced some things on offense. A little bit more active on the defensive end with a couple of blocks, a bit more of a rim protector, but still had some moments where he wasn't great. It ultimately just looked a little bit awkward and lost at times, which, sure, game one, that's fine, but that is something that has to be remedied long term. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't shoot the ball well tonight. Jalen Brunson was arguably their best player, shooting 7 of 13 for 17 points off of the bench, at least their best on the offensive end. But ultimately, a pretty disappointing performance for Dallas. Not great defensively, allowing Atlanta to put up 113, shooting 48% from the field and 43% from deep. And ultimately, just didn't look comfortable tonight for Dallas. A performance that they're going to have to try and work on moving forward because this is not the Dallas team we can get throughout the year. Struggled on offense, didn't look great on defense. I know it's first game, new season, first game of the head coach, but this didn't look promising tonight at all. And hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, this is something that they can improve on and work towards to improve on so they can actually be a competent and competitive team for the upcoming season. But again, full credit to the Hawks, not to harp on Miami, or to harp on Dallas, but full credit to the Hawks. But moving on to the Miami Heat, who did put down an absolute strong performance, to say the least, against the Milwaukee Bucks, winning 137 to 95. They were up by nearly 20 early on in the game, had a 9-minute stretch in the first quarter where the Bucks did not score a field goal, and Miami ultimately won the first quarter 40 to 17 and won every quarter and the game from there. This defense of the Miami Heat is going to be a problem. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker is going to be hard to score against, no doubt about it. And they definitely showed that tonight, specifically early on and throughout the entirety of the game, where the Bucks only shot 38% from the field and 28.6% from deep. I really liked what I saw from Bam Adebayo tonight, silencing anyone that had criticisms of him in that 4-game series in the playoffs. Being a lot more aggressive, finishing in and around the paint, some nice soft touches, floaters, runners in and around the paint off some pick and rolls. That was good defensively, a good rebounder. Did what you would expect for him for this Miami team. Jimmy Butler did his thing, putting up 21, and Kyle Lowry was a good playmaker for them on the night. Tyler Hero was the main scoring piece for them off of the bench, putting up 27, as he was one of my 6-man of the year candidates this upcoming season, and I think he definitely showed why tonight. And Max Strus also surprised me off of the bench. I'm not someone who has been a complete regular from Miami so far, but now entering what I believe is the third year of his NBA career. His size, his ability to score a little bit, to defend a little bit, and be disruptive was very much noticed tonight, and I think he can be a valuable piece of this rotation, at least while Oladipo is out with an injury. Dwayne Dedmon looked very good tonight as well, giving them some size, some good rebounding off of the bench, and a little bit of a scoring punch, putting up 13 alongside 9 rebounds, and he gave some nice complimentary minutes to Bam Adebayo. Ultimately, I think this Miami team is going to be very strong. Of course, the Bucks were missing Bobby Portis, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, amongst others tonight. And Dante DiVincenzo still out, Rodney Hood still out. There's a lot of key pieces out for the Bucks, but nonetheless, this Miami Heat still showed that they are going to be a tough team to beat this year and are going to be amongst the top of the Eastern Conference standings. Ultimately, for the Bucks, tough night. I'm not going to read into it too much. They played great against the Nets, struggled more against Miami here on the road. This Miami team is good, but they're also missing a lot of pieces. But hopefully, when the Bucks play Miami again, they can be. Hopefully, they can be at full strength when they do meet again. But ultimately, let's go on to the last game of the night: the Clippers and the Warriors. The Golden State Warriors continue to look like a legitimate threat in the Western Conference, while Klay Thompson is still out with injury. I think this Golden State team was better than I initially thought they were going to be. I thought this Golden State team was going to be a team that just snuck into the playoffs, but would be a dark horse contender once Klay Thompson is back. But ultimately, after 2 games, I think I can recognize that this is going to be a group that's better than a team that just gets into the playoffs. They look like a very well-oiled machine on offense with pieces now that have been there for a couple of years. Very good passing, very good playmaking team and player and ball movement. Stephen Curry had a brilliant game tonight, putting up 45, 25 of those in the first quarter, where he did not miss a shot. Andrew Wiggins hit a few threes early as well, which was very impactful. Draymond Green did what Draymond Green does. Emmanuel Bielitsa played well again for them off of the bench. Andre Iguodala gave them some good minutes off of the bench. Otto Porter gave them good minutes off of the bench. And Damian Lee played 29 minutes tonight, soaking up some of those minutes later in the game for Jordan Poole, who did struggle offensively tonight. And so Damian Lee filled in those roles and put up double digits off of the bench. But ultimately, Curry carried them on offense tonight. They had a good defensive effort outside of the second quarter, where turnovers ultimately was what killed them. If they restrict their turnovers, this game is not close. They had 21 turnovers. The LA Clippers had 7, and they out-rebounded the Clippers by 15, despite being the smaller team, considering the fact that Kevin Looney played 14 minutes and Zubac played 17. The game was played quite small, and ultimately that led into the Warriors' hands. Zubac just didn't fit in when the Warriors went small, so he didn't see that much time on the court. And ultimately that led to the Golden State Warriors having the better matchups. Being able to have Bielitsa at the 5 led to them having some bigger guys out there in certain matchups where they could get those rebounds. And ultimately they turn those turnovers down, keep those in the lower teens, and they are in a much better scenario when this is not a down to the wire game. That's the biggest thing for the Golden State Warriors tonight. Otherwise, a very well played game. But Curry and Poole did have some needless turnovers throughout the middle quarters of that game. For the LA Clippers, Paul George had a brilliant game, putting up 29 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. He did everything for the Clippers, and he has to do everything for the Clippers. He has to create, he has to make his own shot, he has to finish at the rim, he has to rebound, he has to defend. He has to be that guy for them. He has to be an MVP caliber player this season without Kawhi Leonard, and he played like that tonight. Eric Bledsoe gave them very good production tonight, putting up 22 points and an efficient 22 points where he shot 10 of 16 from the field. I gave them some very good defense alongside with Terrence Mann on Steph Curry after the first quarter, where ultimately then Curry was a lot more in check. That was a large part to Eric Bledsoe and Terrence Mann. Reggie Jackson struggled tonight, but Zubac was good in the minutes he played in. He just ultimately couldn't fit in when the Golden State Warriors went small. Terrence Mann, as I mentioned, played some very important defense tonight and gave them a little bit on the offensive end as well. And ultimately, they just couldn't hit enough shots or keep Curry in check enough in the first quarter for them to really get the job done. They shot 35% from deep, which just isn't quite up to the standard that this Clippers team would like. And not that it's terrible, but this is the best three-point shooting team in the league last year. And keeping themselves to 7 turnovers was fine, but they didn't rebound the ball enough. And so that in line with Curry's output early on and their lack of their own three-point shooting is ultimately the downfall to the Clippers tonight. With that being said, that is my thoughts on the slate of games tonight in the NBA. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And I'll be sure to have my thoughts out on the Raptors game tomorrow afternoon. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you want to hear my thoughts on the first night in the NBA slate of games, then be sure to click the box on screen. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.